Today, we're talking about the big, bad B word. You guessed it, boundaries. Who the f is she? Given my seasoned career as a substance abuser, an addict, if you will, I am no stranger to boundaries. And what I mean by that is that I'm no stranger to ignoring boundaries and crossing boundaries. Not only my own, but also other people's. Sounds kind of bad, right? I know, but hey, people with drug and alcohol abuse issues are kind of known for struggling with boundaries, even after they get sober, which is exactly why I'm making this video, breaking the fourth wall here. I guess the fourth wall has been broken the entire time since I've been talking directly to the camera the entire time. Anyway, in this video, I'm going to tell y'all a little bit about my history with boundaries, or a lack thereof, and how I changed that in sobriety. I will discuss the importance of boundaries when you're leading a sober lifestyle and give you my top 5 favorite phrases to set boundaries with people, each equipped with a side helping of a little bit of pettiness. So make sure to stay tuned until the very end. Hello everybody, you're watching Young, Dumb, and Sober, and I'm a constant disappointment to everybody I care about, Allie. Since today's Wednesday, that means you're watching another dumb, quick, sober tip. If you want to help me spread the word that sobriety is fun, subscribe to this channel, and also slap that bell so you get notifications every single time I upload new content. That means every Wednesday for a new dumb, quick tip, and some other times throughout the month. Okay, let's go back. I don't know why that is back, but it's back. If you go back to the earlier videos in this channel, you'll see me wince at the mention of boundaries on several occasions.
I know boundaries is something that you love to talk about.
Boundaries.
Never heard of her, huh?
I'm mostly joking when I do this. I'm mostly joking when I do everything. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't have a challenging past with boundaries. So when it comes to my history with boundaries, it's pretty simple. I never really had any. That's it, the end. That's the whole video. We have a nice way of closing. It's been real, I'm just kidding. Okay, for real though, for real now. But, to be frank, who's he? There is some truth to the idea that I really never had any boundaries from the start, or very few, or the ones that I had were kind of, dysfunctional. You see, since I was a little kid, boundaries were kind of just non-existent. And this isn't to shit on my parents or my family, but Mom, if you're watching this, it's all your fault. Again, I'm kidding. You guys should understand my humor by now. Anyway, my family and my parents were always well-intentioned and had the best for me in their hearts. They still do. At the very least, I can say with 100% confidence that they were always doing the best they could with the tools they had at the time. I can't dumb down something as complex as interpersonal dynamics to family stereotypes, but I do come from a very large Italian family in North Jersey. If you're Italian and you have family and you live in North Jersey, you know that that means it is just kind of hard to have boundaries with anyone in your family. And sometimes that's an okay thing, and then sometimes it's kind of like a really frustrating thing. But the thing is that we all kind of grew up in the same house together, or like a few houses away from each other. The majority of the family grew up in very close quarters. Even now, my parents live with my grandma, who lives with my aunt, and my uncle, who lives with my 2 cousins. We're a big family with a lot of love to give. But such close quarters means that when I speak about a lack of boundaries, I'm sometimes referring to literal boundaries, as in physical space, as in doors to the bathroom that should be closed but are left open while someone's showering. But more often than not, I'm referring to emotional boundaries. Again, with the this. I don't know why. That's like a habit of mine. Despite the fact that my parents meant well, I grew up without a very strong idea of what boundaries looked like, or what healthy boundaries looked like for that matter. When I was using and drinking and causing a shitstorm for my family, there were times that I would leave my journal or my phone or my computer open or closed, and my mom or my parents would look through them. Lots of the time, crossing of boundaries look like invasions of privacy and invasions of space. Now, I know by now that this was coming from a place of care and concern, but at the time, it was instilling in me an image of what boundaries are and aren't. Like, I've worked past this stuff in my adulthood, like me and my parents are Gucci, but I did bring that same energy to most of the relationships in my adult life, mostly romantic ones. For instance, I saw no issue with going through my partner's phones, tracking their whereabouts, and resorting to manipulation as a way to get them to do what I thought they needed, all out of what I thought was care and love. So when I got sober, you would think that the boundary issues that I had corrected themselves, but you'd be wrong. I had to learn about boundaries, meaning I had to learn how to create and recognize my own and how to respect other people's. And learning these things was a major piece of the recovery puzzle for me. Now I'd be setting boundaries left and right and respecting boundaries left and right. Ain't nobody can touch me. In like a healthy way, I mean. Anyway, let's talk about the importance of boundaries in sobriety. So setting boundaries in sobriety is an essential life change that needs to be made for the person getting sober as well as the people around that person. When so much of your time is spent getting fucked up and or cleaning up the messes that came from you getting fucked up, it's unlikely that you've had a lot of time to create any healthy boundaries. You also might be surrounded by other people who have a kind of skewed sense of what healthy boundaries look like. Law of attraction and all that shit. Part of the reason that boundaries are so important for people in sobriety is because they allow us to understand and voice our needs, our thoughts, and our desires in a new and healthy way that we may previously have not been able to do. And depending on how your use of drugs and alcohol affected other people, most of the time in not such great ways, boundaries will help you to rebuild broken relationships. And it'll do so in a way that's respectful to the person who's getting sober and to those they want to amend to or fix a relationship with. And you might not necessarily consider yourself in recovery. You might be one of the sober curious people, and that's fine. Boundaries are still important for you too. But most people who do get into sobriety do consider themselves in some form of recovery. And when we look at the word recovery, it means to come back to a state of equilibrium. In a sense, it means to come back to a state of well-being. And according to the Hazelton Betty Ford Foundation, boundaries can be described as emotional or physical safeguards to protect our well-being. See how that's connected? Boundaries bring into focus our values and our beliefs, two things that somebody who is active may have very well lost sight of while getting drunk and high. Most people, sober or not, live by a set of guidelines when it comes to how they treat and communicate with other people, how they interact with the living world around them. When we get sober, it's necessary that we do the same. Okay guys, are you ready for my favorite part? Let's go. Here are the 5 phrases that you can use, some of my favorite phrases to use when setting boundaries with people in your life. Number 1, I am unwilling to argue with you. Can you imagine someone trying to fight with you and then you saying that? Or can you imagine trying to fight with someone and they come at you with this shit? I would be like, what? Like, oh, damn. Okay. Number 2, block. This is less of a phrase and more of an action, but it says a lot. If someone is clearly ignoring your boundaries, or you're having a hard time ignoring theirs or respecting your own anytime you interact with them, snip, snip, snip. I mean, block, block, block. Perhaps it's that ex that you can't seem to stop stalking on social media. Literally just block them. It feels amazing. 3, I doubt this was your intent, but when you insert thing they did, it made me feel insert emotion. This one is really hard for me, and it might be for others too, but it's important because it allows you to express your feelings and gives the other person who may have hurt you the ability to course correct for next time. You also get to see how they react to this. Are they defensive? Are they compassionate, understanding? Do they need to be blocked? Perhaps. Number 4, I'm not ready to talk about that yet. A classic. It shows that you're willing to discuss the matter at hand at some point in the future, but right now you're just not in a place to do so. And that is perfectly okay. Number 5, my personal favorite, no. 1 word, 1 sentence. I mean, you can jazz it up if you want. You can be like, no thank you, or no I'm good, or like no f off. Maybe don't try the last one. And if you do, you didn't hear it from me. Okay guys, that's been today's episode. I hope you learned a bit about boundaries and understand the importance of them in sobriety, and really just for anybody. If you're still watching this, you might as well subscribe to Young, Dumb, and Sober. You might as well hit the bell so that you get notifications every single time I upload new content. While you're at it, head over to youngdumbandsober.com so you can pick up some sober swag. But if doing any of that is breaking a boundary of yours, by all means, I respect that and I understand. Until next time, it's been real, it's been fun, and it's been real fun. Bye guys.